Hi Nimra, hope you're well. So, um, my name is Nadeem Bashir, as you know, and I'm a practicing barrister at Park Square Barristers in Leeds, which is a provincial common law set of chambers. Okay. And in addition to that, I'm an assistant coroner for Southwell Central, which is based in Pontypridd, just outside of Cardiff, and I'm also a lieutenant colonel in the Army Legal Services, and I hold that rank as a reservist. Okay, so that's my broad-based background.
Okay, well, mine's not as fascinating as yours, but I'm still a student at King's College. I'm in my third year. I'm studying politics, philosophy, and economics, and my interests lie within like law and political economy, international affairs, and public policy.
Are you hoping to do the law conversion course in September? Is that what your intent is?
Yeah, in September 2021. That's one of the options. I don't have a kind of direct end goal yet, but that is something that I'm hoping for. Yeah.
I think it's called the GDL, isn't it? The graduate.
Yeah, the GDL.
Yeah.
How you usually start your day? Just kind of like your routine, I guess.
Okay. So how do I start my day? Well, I do it a bit unusually in the sense of when I wake up in the morning, I've already sorted out in my head during my sleep the things I've got to do, okay, how I'm going to do them and how am I going to prioritize them. So when I wake up in the morning, I've already got a pattern set out. And so what I try to do is if I'm in chambers, I try to, I leave and try to aim to get there for 6:30 sharp. I have some breakfast because that's really important to get yourself set up, because I don't know when I'm going to eat again in terms of before lunch. So I have some breakfast and then I get straight into my work, and I work in chambers until I need to get to court. If I've got a case involving traveling to a city outside of Leeds, then I aim to get to that location by 8 o'clock sharp in the morning, find a coffee shop, have a bit of breakfast, and again, because I don't know what I'm going to eat next, I might be on the go all day, and so I need to make sure that I've got one meal inside me and I can then keep functioning all day. Okay, so that's how I start my day in the morning.
Would you say the most important part of that is making sure you have a routine and just preparing for it in advance?
The case will be prepared in advance, probably many days in advance. Okay, but the thing I do the night before is I go through my head what I'm going to do. So I sleep on that. So then when I wake up in the morning, I've already got a plan in my head as to how I'm going to deal with this case, how I'm going to approach it, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to say, using the work I've already prepared, days, if not, days in advance. Sometimes it's last minute. Sometimes my case will come to me at 5 o'clock the night before, and that's all I've got. And it might be somebody else's case, and I've got to start from scratch, which means I'll be up into the night dealing with it, and then I'll sleep on it. In my head, the plan will be going around in circles, okay? And then when I wake up in the morning, I'm already hopefully ahead of the game and I'm on top of it. It's really important that, otherwise, if you don't do that, you walk into a case whereby the risk is that your opponent has had the case a lot longer than you have and has already got his strategy worked out. And so you've got to deal with that, you've got to confront that, and you've got to compete with that if you're going to make a name for yourself. So you've just got to, you've got to work out every hour God sends is the usual saying that we have. You just got to work, and then work again. I'm afraid that's what it is at the private bar.
Yeah, thank you for that. So the following question, you have explained a little bit about your current role, but you could just please explain how you kind of got there and your journey. Okay.
So again, mine's a very unusual one in the sense of I didn't do particularly well at school at all, but by hook or by crook, I managed to go from my then O levels into my A levels. Again, I didn't do particularly well with my grades, but by hook and by crook, I managed to get onto a degree course. albeit only part-time because they didn't think I'd make it. So I was refused admission to a full-time degree course, and they said, no, we'll only take you on part-time because you're a risk. And so I then got a job in the daytime. So I funded myself in the daytime by working to be able to go to night school to do my law degree. And then in my final year, instead of doing it over 5 years, in my 4th year, I persuaded them that I'd done well enough to give me a place in the full-time course. So I did my degree over 4 years in the end by going full-time in my last year and doing the honours and the last year in one go, because I needed the honours to go further with it. And then I decided, after I got my degree, and again it was very late, I then decided that I wanted to go do the bar, because everybody at the Polytechnic I studied at, Leeds Polytechnic, were persuading everybody not to go to the bar. They were always saying, no, you won't make it, and that you need to do the solicitor's course. And I didn't want to do that. And so I thought, no, why are you all persuading everybody to go, not to look at the bar, but go down and look at the law society and the solicitor's route? So I decided to apply for the bar. I got a place at the bar in London, because that's the only place you could do your bar finals, at a place called the ICSL, the Inns of Court School of Law, which still exists today and still teaches the barristers today, the barristers course. And so I did that. And then whilst I was there, I decided, I think I can I can do this. I can become a barrister. And so then I started applying for pupilages. So everything was last minute, okay? Yeah. Nothing was planned. And I just managed to, jump over one fence, and then I'd wait, and then jump over the next one, then I'd wait, and then the next one and the next one. And here I am. Okay.
That's amazing. Thank you. So the following question kind of ties into this. So is there anything you would have done differently at the start of your career to help you get where you are today?
Okay. So would I have done anything differently at the start of my career? I wouldn't personally, because mine was a last-minute.com type of career. I just waited until I knew I could get there, and I got there, and then I applied again. So, but what I would say to anybody who's going to watch or listen to this podcast, as it were, is this: if you know what you want to do, that will be so much more helpful to you, because you're already going to be a step ahead of the pack, because then you'll be focused and you'll know where you want to go and how you're going to get there, and that's so much more advantageous. But with somebody like me, I didn't have any of that, probably because when I was at school I wasn't mature enough, and I didn't have a mentor to help me or guide me, and everything I did was last minute, because I just didn't have a clue what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, and would I be successful in doing it. So in other words, I had to be sure I could get there. So I'd wait till I passed my GCSEs, I'd wait till I passed my A-levels, I'd wait till I got to my degree course. And so that, in that way, I was behind everybody else, okay? But that won't work anymore. So if you have got maturity on your side, if you've got people who can mentor you, and you've got an inkling of what you want to do, then my advice to you would be that you need to, what's the word I'm looking for? You need to really develop those lines, as it were, exploit them, okay? And have a clear idea if you can. Not everybody's going to be the same, but if you can get a clear idea as to what you want to do and where you want to go, where you want to be in 5 years' time, then my advice would be then you must do those things, take those steps, but you'll only be able to take them if you know what you need to do. So if you've got a career in mind, then you need to do your homework, you need to do your research, and you need to plan widely, in the sense of you need to look outside the box. So if you've got a career in mind, and you've got a particular niche area you've got in mind so far as your career is concerned, plan outside the box. Look at the things that bolt onto that career, and go and see what they are, get some experience, because then when you put your CV together and you make an application for a job, you will stand out from the crowd because you'll have done something which nobody else has done. It's all about thinking outside the box, and it's all about collecting evidence from the left and from the right and from, you know, the center, bringing it all together, putting it together in your CV and saying, look, I've got a genuine interest in what I want to do. I've got a genuine interest in your firm, and this is why. Because if you look at the things I've been doing over the last 3 or 4 years, you'll see that they all link in to what you do in your line of business. So my model won't work anymore. Okay, it did then, but it won't work now. So it's up to you to make sure that you have the necessary interest, drive, ambition. Okay, somebody who can mentor you, somebody who you can talk to, and for you to then to dip your toe into various bolt-on areas. Okay, so as to, you know, garnish your interest, put it together, and then sell that to a company and say, look what I've been doing. Okay, and I only would have done that if I had a genuine interest in your field or your line of business, and therefore take me on and take a risk with me. And that's the way you've got to, I think, sell yourself now. Okay, there's no shortcut. So if you're looking for a shortcut, there isn't one. Okay, there's absolutely no shortcut whatsoever. All right, so put that out of your mind immediately. Okay, and think about work, and then more. Sorry, but that's the way it is. No,
it's true. Yeah, thank you. So the following question is about kind of what you spoke about earlier about, and it is what gets you back on your feet when you've been knocked down, because you did mention, you know, how a lot of people advised you not to go on the bar. So what made you trust yourself and not take the advice of those who told you not? And even like you said, your teachers weren't so supportive of your application when you did apply to uni. So kind of what helped you overcome that?
Okay, so what gets you back on your feet when you've been knocked down? Okay, so I can give you 2 examples, okay, to help you understand about my background. So far as my education was concerned, you've got to believe in yourself, and you've got to believe, or you've got to have the attitude that I can do that job, or I think I can do that job. Okay, so if you have that attitude, and somebody's saying, "Oh no, you know, you're not going to be any good at that," but you've got a genuine interest in it, then my advice to you is that you should take that step, because otherwise you'll regret it, and you'll always live the rest of your life thinking, "What if I did that? What if I did that?" So I always believed, having done my O-levels, that I was capable of passing my A-levels. So I then applied to do my A-levels. When I did my A-level and I passed them, I always believed that I could do a degree. And so I applied, and okay, they didn't take me on full time, but that's not a problem. I managed to get on there part-time. And then to fund myself, I got a job. And that was a godsend, because believe it or not, that job, which was driving lorries around the country and visiting workplaces, was massive godsend for me when I started a personal injury niche practice, because then when I did my advice to people who were injured, inevitably or invariably in the workplace, I could say, well, I know about workplaces because I've been there and I've worked in them. So that's what I would say to you so far as that's concerned. The second part of the answer was this, that when I get to a case and if I lose, okay, I see that as being knocked down. Okay, so how do I overcome that? Well, when I go home at the end of the evening, after being given a kicking around the courtroom, for example, which happens to everybody, I do what's called a post-mortem on myself and on my case, and I ask myself the questions, why did it go wrong? How did I let it go so wrong? What can I have done? What should I have done? And what will I do next time? So I do a post-mortem on myself, and it might take all night. Okay, it might take weeks for me to overcome it, but I do a post-mortem, and I then make a promise to myself that it'll never happen again. And I'm true to my word, and 9 times out of 10, I'm confident in being able to say to you that if I've made a mistake and I've been caught out and I've lost a case, it will never ever happen again. We all make mistakes, and you've got to be prepared for them. There's no barrister in this world, on this planet, who can't say honestly to themselves, I made a mistake and I lost a case, because we all learn as we go along. So the answer is, a short answer to you is, when you get into your line of business or into your profession or whatever it is that you want to do, and you get knocked down, okay, take 5 and do a post-mortem and ask yourself, why did it go wrong, and was it my fault? And if it was my fault, how do I prevent it from happening again? And that way you will stay at the top of your game. If you stay at the top of your game, you'll be safe and you'll be well. You'll do well. Okay, so that's the answer to your question.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That's really inspiring. So the next question is, what advice would you give to someone who's at the start of their legal career?
Okay. I can only give you advice about being at the start of a legal career from a barrister's perspective, because that's who I am and that's what I've been doing for 30 years. Although at the same time, I'm a part-time assistant coroner, I'm a lieutenant colonel in the army, and I've got a couple of other things as irons in the fire. I'm a legal advisor as well to a military organization called the United Kingdom Reserve Force Association. So I've got a lot of things I do. Okay, but in terms of advice in starting your career, the best advice I can give you is this: don't funnel yourself or channel yourself into a niche area from the beginning, because if you do that, you'll be stuck. In terms of, if it goes wrong, you'll be out of a job. Okay, if your niche area prospers, fine, you'll do very well, but it's a big risk to take. And in all professions, okay, it's always advantageous, okay, given the competition is great, to have a broad perspective of the area you're in. So my advice would be that at the start of a career, if it's to be at the bar or even as a solicitor, if that's the start, make your practice as broad as you can. Okay, dip your toe into all sorts of areas that you can get your hands on, even if you've never done them before. So if somebody says to you, yeah, can you do this road traffic case for us? Yes, say, put your hand up, I'll do that. Personal injury, I'll do that. Family, I'll do that. Immigration, I'll do that. Commercial, I'll do that. Whatever comes your way, do it. Spread your wings wide and get as much experience as you can in all sorts of areas, okay? Even those touching remotely on what you do, because by bringing that experience together, you'll then find a niche, okay? It might take you 5 years, it might take you 7 years, it doesn't matter, because then by the time that time comes, you'll be best placed to be able to say to somebody, I'm the perfect person for that job, because look at my broad-based experience. And you'll increase your flexibility by being able to apply for a number of different jobs. They might be all related, but it means you're not channeled or funneled into one tiny niche area, which you then can't get out of. Because once you become a lawyer, 10, 15 years down the line, okay, practicing law, it becomes more and more harder to move your specialism from one area to another, because it's just more difficult. So you can't suddenly shift after, say, 15 years doing family law, thinking, you know what, I don't like this anymore, and I'll do commercial law now, because it can't be done. Because when you approach commercial firms, they'll say, well, what have you done for the last 15 years? And you say, oh, I've been doing family law. And they're going to say, well, you're not the person for us because you've got no experience. And they're not going to take on somebody who's into their 30s, for example, somebody who's going to start a new career in a new area of law. So even if it's not a new career, a new area of law, it just doesn't work, I'm afraid, in real terms. In practical terms, it doesn't work at all. So my advice to you is keep your area of work you want to go into broad as possible, okay? Maintain your flexibility, and then you can allow yourself to maneuver in that field, okay? As opportunities arise, you can then go and exploit them to your maximum advantage. So that's what I would do. That would be my advice to somebody like you or anybody else for that matter. who's starting a legal career. Okay, do everything, be good at it, be the best at it, but do everything. Don't turn anything away. Just say, I'm the best person for that case, and then go and do it. Okay, and work and work and work again. Okay, that's the only answer. No shortcuts. Okay, you just got to work, I'm afraid. All right.
Perfect.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Anything else you want to ask me?
Yeah, I have got one question, but just before that, I just wanted to ask you if you could briefly explain what you do as a coroner.
Okay. So every local authority in England, okay, must have a coroner service. All right. And whilst a coroner service is funded by a local authority, the coroners that are appointed are in fact under the control of the judiciary. Okay, so professionally they are under the control of the judiciary, who look after them professionally, and if you do something wrong they will discipline you, but you're funded by the local authority. So you've got to understand that perspective. Okay. The coroners are governed by the Coroner Statute, which is the Coroners and Justice Act, okay, 2009, and they determine what a coroner should do. And what a coroner does is this: that when a death takes place in the local authority area, if the death is other than a natural death, so for example, if the death is or the cause of death is unknown, if it's unnatural, if it's violent, or if it occurs in what's called state detention, which is a loose term for somebody who's either in prison, in police custody, in a detention center, in an asylum center, or in a hospital under a order under the Mental Health Act, yeah, detained because they're mentally unwell and they can't look after themselves. If death takes place in those circumstances, then there's the Act imposes a duty upon the coroner to investigate the cause of death. And the reason that we have to investigate these deaths is for two reasons. Is one, to prevent suspicion and allay any fears as to why somebody has died as a consequence of whatever they were doing, okay? And second is to prevent future deaths, because the coroner has a power to write to anybody who may have caused or contributed to death, write them and demand that they carry out certain things to ensure that the deaths, any future deaths, are prevented. So we are governed by statute, and our job is to find out effectively 4 questions. Who died? That's dead easy because we know who died, but we've got to say, we've got to announce the person who died was called so-and-so. When did he die? So the date, well, that's fairly easy because we usually know that. Where did he die? That's again fairly easy because we know that. Okay, but the most important issue, or most important 4th question, is how did he die? So we investigate how somebody came by their death in those circumstances. And therefore, and the way we do that is that we conduct an inquest, and that's why we have inquest hearings. We are the inquisitors, okay? There are no parties as such. We are inquisitorial in nature. And we invite parties to come and assist us. It's not like a Crown Court where you have 2 competing parties, or a civil court where there are 2 competing parties. There's just me and I'm the inquisitor, okay? I conduct an inquisition. I inquire into the cause of death. But anybody who's involved, I invite them to my inquest hearing, and then they help me to conduct the inquest. And by that mechanism and by that route, we then can ascertain what the cause of death was, and answer, which is the how, asking the how question: how did he come? How he or she came by their death? Okay, and then we also answer who, where, and when. So there are 4 questions, and that's what the statute imposes upon me. the obligation to answer those 4 questions in the course of an inquest hearing. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, it definitely does. Okay, and the last and final question that I just wanted to ask, I saw that you did study law, but if you hadn't have studied law, what would you have studied and why? Because I asked that because obviously I didn't study law, so just someone like me who perhaps didn't take that route.
If I had studied, okay, so what would I have done if I hadn't studied law? If I hadn't studied law, I would have liked to have gone into a distribution company, and I would like to have run a distribution network. In other words, the old-fashioned word would be a road haulage company. I would like to run one of those kind of organizations. Haulage, distribution, transportation, call it what you want, but moving of things from A to B, okay? I would either have done that, or I would have done that in the armed forces. I would have joined the army and as a regular soldier and done that kind of work in the army. So that's what I would have done had I not been a lawyer.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
for all your answers.
And I wish you well with your future, whatever that may be or whatever it may hold for you. Okay, work hard.
Thank you so much.
Right.
I will do. Thank you so much. Good luck.
Goodbye.
Good luck to everyone.